first question is, does the First Amendment protect against hate speech?
And the First Amendment is
Basically freedom of
speech,
and
right?
freedom of expression.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. Hate speech, for example, what you hear, like what you get on Facebook between people, like bullying speech
Sure.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it doesn't really, if it gives you the freedom to say what you want, it doesn't really protect you
Okay.
against that. No.
Do free speech zones affect our right to speak freely anywhere else?
Free speech zones, so you're not saying that, so you're saying that there are some areas where you have free speech and other areas where you don't?
Like some public universities and stuff. Like you can't go over there protest and stuff. It's pretty much prohibited.
Oh, I see.
All right. Does that affect our right to speak freely?
I think we have to be careful because there are certain, I'm not sure about the public universities, but for instance, in a private area, like here we have certain, there's certain things that we can't say, that kids can't say to each other. Like they can't swear,
Yeah.
but you see this is a private place as well as a private institution. So I think we do have the right to dictate that to a certain respect. I don't know, I think it's all bordering on, how can I say as well? I think, for example, even just in a public university, you should be careful. We just can't say everything that we want to say because I don't know what other right that would be, what other toes we'd be stepping on, but basically that could be hurting somebody in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to think of, there are other laws, right, against harassment or against cruelty, and I guess cruelty can also be verbal, and I don't know, I guess it's a fine line. I've never really thought of it, to tell you the truth, so this is kind of maybe opening my mind to something I didn't think of before.
Should shouting fire in a public place be prohibited?
If there is a fire?
No, in general, the question is about just being able to say what you want. But if there is not a fire, and should you be allowed to yell whatever you want? Because shouting fire in a public place is prohibited.
Mm-hmm.
So should it be?
Oh, I didn't know that, but yes, I think it's, those kind of emergencies, otherwise you'd be crying wolf all the time, and I think it's just a little bit like somebody yelling bomb, and if people don't really react, it's just a hoax, whatever, but what if there really is a bomb? And that has happened so many times. It could happen at the Boston Marathon and so forth, if people had just not, I don't know, there's a lot of, no, I think we shouldn't, especially those kind of emergency calls need to be called specifically for that time and not, any other time.
Do you think it's true that the younger you are, the more prone you are to accept government intervention?
The younger you are, the more prone you are to accept?
Yeah, or to even vote for more government regulation?
No, I think the opposite.
Okay.
Definitely the opposite. I think the younger you are, I think we have more of that rebellious spirit, and we want more of that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I think, at my age, I would accept a lot more than I did maybe when I was your age.
All right. Okay. Does being politically correct inhibit our free speech?
Yes, in some ways. I just think we take offense to a lot of things that years ago we didn't take offense to, when I left this country to go move to Europe, we always said Orientals. And when I came back, I was told very quickly, Miss Macias, you don't say that. That's not politically correct. You have to say Asian. And so, it's a question of why is it acceptable? Oh, you can just leave your paper right there, that's good. Yeah, it's again, why was the word okay a few years ago, and
Mhm.
I think we go too far with our political correctness or whatever.
Okay. In light of the 100-foot rule, when talking about protesting around abortion clinics, do you
There's a
think?
100-foot rule.
Yeah, there's a 100-foot rule to protest. Do you think that that's fair, that you cannot go within 100 feet while protesting?
I think it's fair, I think to protect the people who want to go in or are coming out. And I think mainly because when you're in close proximity, there's just more danger of something coming to blows, or, and also just not, and seeing, you know, when you come out, you can probably see more clearly, you know, people who have weapons, like someone with a knife or something, you know, because there's been a lot of violence in those areas. So I think, yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Mhm. Is speech on the internet entitled to the same protection as speech in the media?
What do you mean protection? So what protection does speech in the media have?
Like you cannot, like for example, on the internet, cyberbullying is rampant, but in the media, you cannot,
Oh,
say
yeah, it should
things.
be the same,
Yeah, okay.
definitely.
Do you think public schools should have dress codes in light of the freedom of expression thing?
Oh, yeah, I think they should. A lot of them do here in Tennessee, I know, and yeah, I think the comportment, I just know personally when we have a dress down day, the difference between a dress down day and just a regular day when they wear their uniforms, there's a big difference. It's, yeah, their comportment, I think is a little better perhaps. And I think also, I mean, one of the big things is that there's less of that rivalry between, oh, there's the haves and have-nots. Like I can wear Abercrombie and Fitch and I can't, you know, that kind of thing, so, yeah.
Do you think kids should be able to wear profanity on their shirts
No.
in public areas?
Oh, I see, in
Not in
public
a
areas,
school, but
okay.
yeah, because of freedom.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd have to say yes, because, you know, to protect your freedoms, you have to be able to give on a lot of sides, you know, on both sides, really. And I think, I mean, when I just think of how God has allowed, we can say, take his name in vain, we can do a lot of things. He doesn't strike us down with lightning. He's allowed that because I think he's, you know, he risks a lot to do that, you know. But on the other hand, because he wants people to do that because they love him. And I think it's the same for us. I don't think it's right for us to legislate certain things when I don't agree with it, but I think it's maybe their decision whether they want to or not. You know, like just like, I don't know. So I think that would be, even though I don't agree with it personally, I wouldn't want someone to say, you can't wear it. I think that needs to be their decision because it has to be a hard change if they don't want to wear it, so.
Okay, we just have 2 background questions about you, just so that we
Okay.
can get it.
All right,
polls.
Sorry, I guess I should have been looking at the
No,
camera
it's
that
fine.
time.
Your religious preference or background.
What, you mean affiliation?
Yeah.
Seventh-day Adventist.
And are you registered to vote, and do you plan on voting in this upcoming election?
I am not registered to vote because I'm Canadian,
Right.
so I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we have.
Okay.
Really appreciate it.